Hello, my name is Mica Daurie. My pronouns are she, her. I am the founder, chief executive officer, and lead consultant of TRANS. We're a brand new community advocacy, corporate training, and consulting firm that just opened in April of 2024. So I think a lot of my career as a young trans woman was, before entrepreneurship, very much dictated by my identity as a trans woman. I was often the first trans woman to be in a lot of spaces. I was the first openly trans woman to work at Halifax City Hall. After experiencing, various professional endeavors that never quite felt like the right fit, never felt like they were quite home or safe for someone like me, no matter how inclusive the organization tried to be, I decided that my journey as an entrepreneur was to represent for my community, and my journey into entrepreneurship was to create an advocacy firm that is by trans people, not just for other businesses, but also for trans people. As a trans person, I feel as though there is this wall with certain business owners and certain other entrepreneurs that they don't want to interact with you. I couldn't even count on two, three, four hands if I wanted to, the number of times somebody has snubbed me up at a networking event, completely walked by me, or just, refused to engage with me based on who I am as a person, the way I look, the way I present, and their preconceived notions about what I have to offer as an entrepreneur, as a business, and all of those things. Well, I firstly just want to shout out CGLCC. I have been part of the family for just a short little while, and the warm welcoming and acceptance that I felt is so huge. Having queer entrepreneurship networks is so important, and I'm so glad stuff like this exists. Some of the best advice I received has been from other queer entrepreneurs who are saying, what are you doing? What can you do to expand your services? What can you do to offer people what they want? What can you do to meet people where they're at? And that's been some of the most meaningful advice for me as a 2S LGBTQ plus entrepreneur, has been other people that are willing to sit there and offer their time, offer their advice, that have been in business for longer than I have, and have done it as a queer trans entrepreneur. The mentorship that I've received from other queer people that have been in business for a long time has been so invaluable. There's been so much advice on how to navigate those uncomfortable situations, like the networking snubs, like the businesses that aren't ready to meet you and that aren't ready to see what you have to offer to them. How do you navigate that? How do you bridge that gap? And how do you find ways into those spaces? Oh my gosh, do it. There's so much joy in getting to show up every day being your authentic self. And when you are an entrepreneur, when you are a business owner, when you are, you know, out there offering yourself and your services, there's so much value to being your authentic self, because that's what draws people in. That's what draws people in, is seeing that there is a person on the other side of the business. It's so easy as entrepreneurs to get into this kind of rudimentary, formulaic sales pitch every time we're talking to someone and we're networking. But to be out and to be a queer entrepreneur and to be a trans entrepreneur for myself is so empowering, and it does so much, especially where I'm from the East Coast, Chibuktuk, Halifax, up in Mi'kma'ki. We are a very, I think, behind province in terms of representation, both in business, out in the employment world, but also in entrepreneurship. So get out there and be that representation. As long as you have, an understanding that it may not always be easy, it may not always be comfortable, and you may encounter resistance. And I think that's another important piece of advice. Be out and be proud, but also be ready to protect your peace and make sure that you have that support system. Because especially with the way our social climate is right now, for 2S LGBTQI plus people as a whole, but for trans people specifically, it's really about assessing your willingness to put yourself in the fire. And I hope, in a year's time, we're doing this interview again, Reggie, for next year. I hope that we're in a different situation, and it's easy for us, it's easier for me to say as a queer entrepreneur, get out there and do the thing. But until we have some meaningful changes, and I think we're on the way there, it is still a scary thing. So, be out, be proud, be that change that you want to see, but only at your own comfort, only at your own pace, and don't let yourself feel pressured to make that a part of your identity in your business either.